Welcome to RG Biology tutorial. This is the second class that is related to histology of alimentary canal diagrammatic part. So today class we are going to learn about histology of alimentary canal sectional view. Sectional view of alimentary canal. Sectional view of alimentary canal. So in this sectional view, previous class we already discussed about the information that is related to alimentary canal wall. Now we are going to learn about the diagrammatic part which is related to wall of alimentary canal. So there are 4 layers are noticed in this. The first layer is inside to outside. Inside to outside. The first layer is mucosa. The first layer is mucosa, second layer is submucosa, and the third layer is muscularis, and the fourth one is again the last layer. This last layer is serosa. So this is the outermost layer. This outermost layer of alimentary canal we call it as, this is the serosa, and in this muscularis there are 2 important layers are noticed that are known as outer. I don't want to draw the complete, just I would like to draw this partial part. This is outer longitudinal muscularis and inner circular muscularis. Outer longitudinal muscularis secondly circular muscularis. And this is the third layer. This is supplied with the connective tissue, and here number of capillaries also noticed here like this. So this is the third layer. This is called as a mucosa, and this innermost layer is like this, and this is termed as mucosa. This is submucosa. This is third layer is submucosa, and the fourth layer is mucosa. Okay, so first one is serosa, second one is collectively called as a muscularis, This is muscularis. Muscularis. The third layer is, this is the second one. Third one is submucosa. The fourth one is mucosa. These are the 4 wall layers. In this mucosa, there are 3 more layers are noticed. There are 3 more layers are noticed. What are that? Mucosal muscularis. First layer is mucosal muscularis. Secondly, lamina propria. Lamina propria. Thirdly, epithelial mucosa. Epithelial mucosa. These are the 3 layers are noticed in this mucosa. In this mucosa. 4th layer of gut wall. So here I would like to draw one more transverse section of, this is the circular view. I mean, this is also transverse section, but when we come to this vertical part like this, I would like to draw this part also for understanding some more points that are related to gut wall. So this is the outermost fibrous part, serosa. So this is the serosa layer, first layer, that is serosa. Later longitudinal muscularis are there. So here longitudinal muscularis. Previous class we already studied between longitudinal muscularis and circular muscularis. We find out certain types of flexes. The flexes are termed as Orbach. So this is circular muscularis. Between the longitudinal muscularis and circular muscularis. So this is longitudinal, this is circular. Between these 2 muscularis, what we find out? We find out Orbach flexes. Orbach flexes. Orbach flexes, they controls the peristalsis movement of gut wall, and these flexes are related to parasympathetic system. So parasympathetic system. Next layer is submucosa. Submucosa. So this submucosa is appeared like this. Between the circular muscularis and submucosa, we find out another kind of flexes. Another kind of flexes. These Orbach flexes are also termed as a myenteric flexes. Between this submucosa and circular muscularis, so this is submucosa. Between the submucosa and circular muscularis, we find out one more kind of flexes. These are called as submucosal flexes. Submucosal flexes, or these are also called as a Meissner's flexes. So these Meissner's flexes are noticed in the 3rd layer, that is termed as a submucosa. Then the 4th layer is mucosa. This 4th layer bears 3 kinds of layers. What are that? That layers are, first one is mucosal mucosa. Sorry, this is the fourth layer. This fourth layer we call it as a mucosa. This mucosa again having with three more layers. Mucosa muscularis. This is the mucosa muscularis. The second one is lamina propria. It having, this is the lamina propria. And the third one is epithelial mucosa. This epithelial mucosa develops a kind of villi-like structures in different regions of gut. So here mucosal muscularis, there are two kinds of layers are present. Outer longitudinal mucosal muscularis, inner circular mucosal muscularis. Both are smooth muscle made up. So mucosal muscularis is the first layer of mucosa. It has two more important layers that are smooth muscle made up. Outer longitudinal mucosal muscularis, inner circular mucosal muscularis. Second layer is lamina propria. This lamina propria is very significantly noticed with MALT. Stands for mucosal associated lymphoid tissue. Mucosal associated lymphoid tissue is very specifically noticed in the lamina propria of mucosa. Second layer of lamina propria of mucosa. So this is the second layer, lamina propria. So it is playing an important role in immunity. Next, this is the epithelial lining. This epithelial lining, forms like this. I mean, these are called as a villi. So this villi is noticed in the alimentary canal. In stomach, villi appear like blunt finger-like projections. They form blunt finger-like projections. Whereas in intestine, this villi appear like conical shape. And I mean, this epithelial mucosa forms villi-like structures in stomach. They appear like blunt finger-like structures. This mucosal epithelium of mucosa forms villi in intestine, and they appear like a conical shape. And when we are coming to the stomach part, this epithelial mucosa develops gastric glands. Gastric glands that are developed by this mucosal epithelium or mucosal epithelium, and that is developing gastric glands in stomach. This mucosal epithelium in intestine develops intestinal glands. Here the gastric glands are cardiac gland, fundic glands, pyloric glands, like that. Here the intestinal glands are Brunner's glands and the crypts of Lieberkühn. These two types of glands are developed by epithelial mucosa. So this is the diagrammatic view of sectional view of alimentary canal. So this is about, so there are four important layers: outer serosa, second layer is muscularis, third layer is submucosa, fourth layer is mucosa. So don't be confused about the third layer is submucosa, fourth layer is mucosa. So serosa is outermost, and it develops adventitia externa. adventitia externa in esophagus. This is noticed in esophagus. Rest of the alimentary canal, it forms, rest of the alimentary canals, it forms, what it forms? This is termed as a visceral peritoneum. Visceral peritoneum. Next, muscularis is two types, longitudinal muscularis, circular muscularis. So between these two layers we find out a kind of flexes that are called as R-back flexes that are related to parasympathetic nervous system, or nerve cells parasympathetic nervous system, and they are responsible for the controlling of peristalsis movement of gut wall. And this is the third layer. This third layer is called as a submucosa. The submucosa bears Meissner flexes or submucosal flexes. These Meissner flexes or submucosal flexes are related to sympathetic nervous system. So this Meissner flexes or submucosal flexes are going to control gastrointestinal juice. This is about submucosa. Then the fourth layer is mucosa. Mucosa having three more layers. What are the three more layers? Mucosal muscularis, lamina propria, epithelial mucosa. Mucosal muscularis is again divided into two kinds of smooth muscle made up of structures. Outer longitudinal mucosal muscularis, inner circular mucosal muscularis. Next, and this is the layer which is going to separate the mucosa and submucosa. The lamina propria is richly supplied with malt, mucosal associated lymphoid tissue, playing important role in immunity. And epithelial mucosa or mucosal epithelium, this is the third layer of mucosa, and it develops villi in the stomach and as well as intestine. Villi appear in stomach like blunt finger like structures, whereas in intestine this villi appear like a conical shape. So next, this mucosal epithelium forms gastric glands in stomach, intestinal glands in intestine. So gastric glands are cardiac gland, fundy glands, pyloric glands. Intestinal glands are Brunner's glands and groups of Lieberkühn. All these glandular structures that are formed by epithelial mucosa. Okay, understand? This is complete information that is related to the gut wall or wall of alimentary canal. Thank you. Next class we are going to learn about buccal cavity or oral cavity.